Within our film opening, we used a number of techniques to engage and address our target audience. These elements include the use of sound, costume, props, setting, facial expressions and body language, makeup, famous actors, and the fact that it's a Hollywood.
We created our focus group. These individuals identified that they liked and wanted to see upbeat and stylish music because it creates a magical, glamorous atmosphere plus tone. We can be seen to attract and address our audience in relation to the use of non-diegetic sound, because in our film opening we use 3 non-diegetic soundtracks which are upbeat, stylish and jazzy, and they reflect the mood or represent the character. For example, when the main character Michael Domino is getting ready, the soundtrack by Kasabian Swafford it's stylish, upbeat, fast-paced, and it reflects the character of Michael being stylish and always being fast-paced in what he does, like all these crimes. He's always on the go, always doing something quite action-based, and he's always upbeat and seems to be quite confident. So therefore, in relation to sound, we can be seen to address our target audience because we've included something that they wanted to.
Within our film opening, we used expensive and exotic locations, yet some of them were quite realistic. Expensive locations, such as a large modern house, will engage and attract a female audience because they like to engage and interact with expensive commodities. Some of these exotic and expensive locations the audience can't actually access, therefore it's an escapism for them.
And therefore this is one of the things they like to see because it is escapism and they can access the world. So this is why we decided to include these locations to represent the exotic world and the glamorous world. So therefore they were able to access it throughout our film opening, and therefore it's addressing them and attracting them because we're including another element in which they wanted to see within crime heist films.
Realistic locations such as the bar or pub is a location where the audience can relate. So where you've got exotic and expensive locations where you aspire to be like them, which you can't actually access, you also have these realistic locations such as bar, which is probably going to be quite common, and the audience is going to be quite used to bars and pubs being around.
We also use settings to attract and address our target audience within our film opening. It's because they, when we did our focus group, they identified that the reason they were attracted and liked watching crime heist films was the intriguing plot and the twists from the narrative. And we included certain settings like the prison, like Danny's bedroom, like the pub, because all of these settings they add to more twists and turns in the plot. For example, through the prison you can obviously establish that the character Michael is a criminal. Through the setting of Danny's bedroom, it gives more secrecy, more twists and turns, because as the audience they already know that Danny's having an affair with Michael's ex-wife. And also the use of the setting of the pub, it's more sort of den because there's no establishing shot, so it's obviously quite secretive. Therefore, these are all attracting and addressing our target audience because we, through the use of setting, we're making them plot or narrative more intriguing, and therefore also addressing the audience because that's what they wanted to see within that.
In our film we had a numerous amount of famous actors. Our famous actors are young actors that are usually associated with action films which would entice the audience. In our film opening, we used 2 attractive males. This will particularly engage with the female secondary audience because of their good looks and the fact that they are young, therefore they can relate to them, and it's
because they're the same sort of age range.
Same sort of age range, and the good looks, because
obviously it's attractive for them.
Yeah, the attractive characters are obviously attracting the audience. The famous actors themselves will also have a fan base which will bring more of an audience to our film.
As we've talked about before, if there's a famous actor in the film, if they like the works of that actor, they're more enticed to go and watch that film because they want to see if that certain film or our certain film
is going to be like their previous films they've already done.
So and also they're stylish and take pride in their appearance, which are all the things that will pride in appearance, and it's one of the things that we identified that the primary and secondary target audience have. They take pride in their appearance, so it relates to them also.
As well as the famous actors, we have a famous writer and producer, Guy Ritchie, which will also have a fan base. Will attract people who like his films, certain genre of films.
Because it's also crime, so it's not crime action, it's crime heist. So
it's almost broadening the genre itself.
Yeah, and also, what was I going to say? Yeah, also because if they say it's a Guy Ritchie film, that's also addressing, it's also attracting and addressing our target audience for, or the fan base for Guy Ritchie, because like we said about famous actors, if they like the works of certain previous Guy Ritchie films, they're more enticed to come and watch our film because it's produced and written by Guy Ritchie. The element that we used within our film opening, or we decided to use in our film opening to attract and address our target audience, both primary and secondary, is the use of character. For example, the use of character in a film is quite important to attract and address our target audience, because both of our main characters within our film opening are young, and these will especially attract and address the male target audience, because it will relate to them personally, because it's the same age, so they sort of can admire them. For the male target audience, because if the character's the same age as the target audience, it's also as if it could be what they could be, so therefore they're more enticed to watch the film, and they're attracted to watch the film, because it could represent, it's escapism, it could represent what they aspire to be. We see characters, so basically it's obviously a crime heist film, so we have Con Men, which is one of the things I like to see there. And when we reviewed our target audience research, they wanted to see, obviously they like the classics of the West, so we included the classics of the forms and conventions of the genre, such as the young characters being confident, stylish, slick, taking pride in their appearance, arrogance, intelligence, manipulative. All these aspects within their personality and their characteristics, it attracted and addressed their target audience, because they obviously take pride in their appearance. They aspire and confidence the con men do, and because the confidence and the arrogance they have, it means they think they're invincible against the world, they can do anything, and within crime heist films they can, they succeed, they pull off the heists, so therefore it attracts our target audience and addresses them, because it's sort of an escapism to see characters that they aspire and admire to be. Our primary target audience, and obviously our secondary audiences, we discovered they like spending time with their family and friends. Obviously couples, they love each other, so therefore they're the main priority for them, each other. Within our film opening, we represented the character of Michael as in some aspect, when he got home, he found his wife had left him, that he's quite a sensitive character, and also we decided to do this because it showed that he had high family and love values. So the most important people were to him, obviously, because that's the first place he went once he got out of prison, was home. He went home to his wife and his family, and therefore this will attract and address our target audience, because they like to spend time with their family and friends, so it relates to them as a person, and therefore by showing our character in this way, or representing them in this way,
the fact that Michael is a husband can relate to the couples themselves, especially the men of the couples, the male of the couples, because they can relate, because it could be them that could be the ones.
As our primary target audience likes gadgets and likes to aspire to have them, and for use of us having the latest gadgets within our film opening, it's something they aspire to have, and also it's addressing them because we're relating something they aspire to have to them as the audience.
We had different aspects of facial expression and body language for our main character.
For the use of facial expression and body language, we decided to display the characters to the audience as confident, arrogant, daring and charming. And these are four of the main elements that we established as code of conventions of a lovable rogue or a con man or anti-hero. The reason we decided to include these, and the reason how we came up with how to attract and address our target audience, is because the target audience does obviously takes pride in their appearance, and therefore they they could be quite confident, so it relates to them as a person. This aspect also helped us attract and address our target audience. That's why I decided to make sure that the costume was quite important within our film and the way we portrayed the costumes. For example, within our film, the costumes that are presented to the audience are suits, and they're stylish, they're smart, they're elegant, and also displays aspects of them being quite wealthy. And we decided to include these elements on those connotations because they would attract and address both a primary target audience and a secondary target audience.
Our primary target audience, because the 24 to 36 year olds aspire to be like these people, so if they're wearing smart, fashionable clothing, they aspire to be wealthy enough to wear these sort of things.
And they'll also be the envy of other people because it makes them look quite high importance because they're wearing quite smart. It makes them look very important to other people.
And then our secondary audience, because the female 24 to 36 year olds, they
makes them quite
the element of charm and looking really smart,
sophistication
is they come together, and it just attracts them really. The fact that our film was a Hollywood film plays a huge part in attracting our audience. Having our film as a Hollywood film means that our film will be exhibited by all major multiplexes, which increases the availability that people get to see this film, as opposed to it being an independent, which won't manage to get to all multiplexes or even any multiplex.
And they have to wait, and say if someone wants to see it, they have to wait to be an independent cinema, and obviously that will limit availability of the film.
The use of glamorous actors, settings, all influence the fact that it's a Hollywood film.
Because obviously they're paying a lot of money for famous actors to be in the film.
Yeah. Having been a Hollywood film, it's almost like a guarantee that you're going to be entertained and you're going to enjoy it.
And you're always going to get an element of escapism from Hollywood films.
Having been distributed by Warner Brothers, the fan base of Guy Ritchie, fan base of famous actors, all adds to the element that it's a Hollywood film. Just everything put together just sort of increases the attractiveness of the film. So say you've got an independent film with no one famous in it, or an unknown director, producer, writer, and then you've got a big Hollywood film with top actors and famous story writer, producer, distributor.
And then
you're more likely to go and see the Hollywood film than you are the independent, because it's a guarantee that it's going to be a good film.
Because the amount of money that's been spent on it, you'd think that they try and make it as near to perfection as possible. And also our film, in relation to like the plot and how we've attracted and addressed the target audience, is because in some ways from the beginning of our film we've sort of challenged. It is in some ways, it does represent a classic crime heist film with all the forms and conventions we've used and some of them we've developed, but also by obviously challenging some of them, it entices students, because obviously it is intriguing plot. It's not the same, so you want to see if this film's successful and if if we've pulled off in making it successful because we've challenged the forms and conventions of the genre. When we finished production of our film opening, we then distributed some audience research questionnaires, and basically the questions that were on these questionnaires, you'll see them in a minute on the screen. Obviously the first question was
out of 5, what would you give
what star rating would you give this film opening?
Would you like to see more of the film? Would you like to continue watching?
How successful was this film opening?
And why?
No.
I've got them written down here, if you just let me do it.
How's the success?
We'll start again. First question is a star rating, so out of 5, what would you give the film opening? Second question is, would you like to watch more? Would you like to carry on watching the film? Does it conform to the genre of previous crime heist films?
And why and how successful is it conforming to the genre?
Is the film opening successful at...
In establishing the main character and the beginning of the narrative.
Yeah, and then is there any improvements or changes you would have made if you were?
And we handed these out to a number. I won't say how many people. We handed these out to a number of individuals that were aged. We handed them out to males, females, and couples, aged 26 to 34 years old. So we're focusing mainly on our target audience, both primary and secondary, and to another range of people in other cinema groups. Because of it being a blockbuster, it does appeal to everybody. And the answers that we got back were that most people in the rating, they thought it was between 4 and 5 star rating. So therefore this tells us that just by...
it has engaged and enticed
and attracted our audience.
Yeah.
No, that's not right. It'll be the next
Can I just say
question.
something?
Sorry.
Did we not hand them out to our focus group?
Yeah, you could say that. So focus group if you want.
We handed out our
audience questionnaires
to our focus group as they...
Told gave us the answers of what they wanted to see, and then we wanted to show them the film and see if we were successful in adding the improvements or the...
meeting their expectations.
Yeah, and what they wanted to see within a crime heist film.
Right.
And the star rating.
No, we've already done that.
No, because you've just said make someone watch more of that. Yeah. By giving it a very high star rating, it clearly means that we've both attracted and addressed our target audience by including all the closing conventions and the aspects that they wanted to see and why they're attracted to watching them in the first place. So therefore it shows that we were successful in doing this. And then when we asked them would they want to continue watching the rest of the film, they all said yes. So this clearly shows... What does it clearly show? You said something that one.
It clearly shows that we've engaged them and drawn them in. We've also set enigmas in there, so perhaps that's persuaded them to want to watch on and see what happens.
Or maybe it could be that we thought that it could be because of the way we've made the plot more intriguing, we've used more twists and turns and challenged the forms and conventions of the genre.
When we asked our audience questionnaire participants, did our film conform to the genre, every single one said yes. And reasons why were that everything was clearly represented. It was very similar to that of the Notions film. Included everything it needed to establish
the main character
and the genre.
So enough backstory, he's been a criminal, the lifestyle he leads because of the suits, the whiskey.
It was very clear and concise, explained very well. It established very clearly that he was a criminal. There was a love element, and he was very slick and stylish.
Therefore, this clearly shows that we have managed to address our audience because we've included all the things to make it successful in attracting them, and also because we've included the elements in which they wanted to see in the first place, a more intriguing plot, making sure that it was clear in what it was saying, the lifestyle which the common lead, and things like that.
It also shows that we've actually hit the codes of conventions
Of the
very
genre.
well, so they've identified the genre.
And when they said why it was successful, they've said...
No, we haven't said that it's successful yet. What was the actual question?
That's what I was looking for.
I think it was does it establish main character
How
and
successful
something else?
is this film in establishing the main character in the beginning of the narrative?
Yeah. You can do that one.
Okay. When we asked the focus group to answer the question how successful was the film opening in establishing the main character and the beginning of the narrative, the answers and the feedback we got was the personality and lifestyle well explained well established that he's a con man out of prison and his lifestyle too, clear background story, the prison shops, the conversation established the main character used by the use of voiceover. There was enough backstory, criminal, love, wealth, flashy car, and phone suit to talk about heist established well. So it was successful. Through the feedback, we could clearly see that we had included all the elements that would attract the target audience because of the feedback we've been given. It's clearly stated that we have include those elements and that we have attracted them because they have said that it's been established well. However, they did say they would like some improvements.
One person stated that they'd like to see more depth in the feelings of the main character. So, for example, in the scene where Michael finds the ring and listens to the voice message on the phone, they'd like to see a bit more emotion there. So perhaps him crying in memory of matrimony, in memory of him and his wife being together. One person stated they'd like to see more glamour, so a sports car like a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, just to emphasise his wealth, and maybe some named brand clothing, so maybe Calvin Klein, Ralph Lauren, something like that, just to show status and wealth again. One person stated they'd like to see more of a gambling element, so a casino, with faster editing within that, which would help reflect the genre. And they've said that they'd like to see this just like in Hustle.
Yeah, and the last person said they wouldn't make any improvements at all.
No, don't say that, because that just proves that we've only done 4. So I've gone one person, and you went the last person. So you can't say that.
And another person said
the rest of them
said that they wouldn't change any, make any improvements. From looking at the feedback of the improvements, yes, we could have made some improvements. Yes, we could have made some improvements to the film opening. However, it's only a 2-minute film. It's only 2-minute footage. So therefore, the audience at this point don't know if we're going to display a sports car. They don't know. He could retaliation. That's not a word, is it?
Rebelliation. He
could
rebel.
Him rebelling against his wife leaving him, he could flash and spend out a lot of money and buy a Ferrari. Name brands clothing, we used a lot of advertising within our film opening.
Product placement
within our advertise in our film opening.
We've used a lot of product placement within our film opening.
Which we discussed previously.
So perhaps maybe if we had longer, we could have used the feedback and expanded on product placement using big brands within our clothing.
In relation to showing casino quick shots to reflect the genre, we have used a lot of quick shots to reflect the genre, like when he's getting ready. But obviously, we do take the feedback. However, like we said before, it's only the first 2 minutes of the film, and Hustle is more of a TV show, so it obviously have different.
There's a different plot between the Hustle and Chance, whereas Chance is a heist. The Hustle is more about conning people. So whereas ours is going to be stealing something, theirs is more of hustling money out of people. So it's the same sort of genre, but there's a different storyline behind each. So I don't think a casino would work in our film.
Yeah, because it's not all about most of it's not about gambling. And like we said, we could also include gambling elements later on in the film. Our main focus for the film opening was to establish the main character, because it's so important, because people have said there wasn't enough backstory, and obviously they've all said it's successful because we've established the main character and enough of his backstory about where he's been as criminal, his wife just left him, there's twists and turns in the plot. We've been very successful, we believe, in establishing these elements, and therefore attracting and addressing the target audience, because that's what they said they wanted to see in the first place. Yeah.